Behind every NFL player, therein lies a motivation. And for Buffalo Bills wide receiver Quan Bray, it stems from the moment, nearly 7 years to the day, that made him become the man he is today. It all started in LaGrange, Georgia. Bray, a standout high school football player that could do a little bit of everything on offense, was one of the top 150 recruits in the entire nation and had his pick of the litter of where he wanted to continue his playing career. And anywhere his football travels took him, his mother, Tanya Bray, was there to cheer him on.
She made sure she did everything to be, if we was in Texas, she'll be in Texas. No matter we cross the country, she coming, and she the loudest one in the stands, always.
With his mother and father standing proudly behind him, Bray chose to enroll at Auburn University. That was in January of 2011. 6 months later, most everything he knew about life to that point would never be the same.
And that was just the turning point in my life, right then and there.
By early that July, his mother and father were living separately for 6 months after being together for 18 years. Quan was in Atlanta the previous day. On his drive back, his phone started going haywire.
I was getting some phone calls, from my dad and my mom, but I didn't answer the phone. Got a couple messages, from people saying somebody was shooting at your mother's car. I'm like, geez, I wouldn't think she don't have any enemies or nothing like that.
He then received a text message from his father telling him to go check on his mother. Bray drove up to the scene, seeing bullet holes through his mother's car, and was told by authorities to immediately go to the hospital. Tanya Bray suffered a fatal gunshot wound to the head. She was pronounced dead at the hospital at the age of 37. Quan didn't have to wait long to find out who did it.
Just an hour after finding Bray, Jeff Jones turned himself into police and admitted he shot her.
His father, Jeffrey Jones.
I just bust out in tears, start crying because I thought my life was over with then. I didn't know what to do. I just lost my mom and my dad.
And in a chilling detail, that text message his father sent his 18-year-old son came after he had just murdered his mother.
Thinking like he didn't just do it, but, I guess the devil get on people like that.
Jones was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The 18-year-old Bray and his 10-year-old brother Jaimir were left wondering what was next. For Bray, he found his answer, and quickly. The very next day, Bray remarkably packed up and went to Auburn for a spring workout.
Just because I knew, what she'll want me to do, Some guys wouldn't have did that. Some guys would have took weeks off. But that wouldn't have did nothing for me.
Bray went on to Auburn to have a successful college career, so well that the NFL came calling to him as an undrafted free agent wide receiver. All the while, Bray made sure to be a strong presence in his brother's life as Jaimir grew up living in their grandmother's house. With his brother about to become a senior in high school, the fatherly Bray couldn't help but be moved by how far his brother had come.
Seeing him grow, that gives me chills, seeing him from a little one to growing, now that right there makes, that gives me like, it's nothing to explain that, that's just a word I can't even explain,
As for his father, Bray still hasn't reached out to him almost 7 years later.
Not at the moment, You're supposed to forgive. I will eventually once that time comes, but right now, I'm just continue to strive and do, be great in what I know she want me to be great in.
And that, he knows in his heart, is football. And just as she did when she was alive, he knows his mother travels with him everywhere, only now in spirit.
Yeah, that was my mother, She was my #1 fan. It was a tragic moment in my life, but a lot of people would make that a downfall, make that an excuse, but I don't think that was meant for me to make an excuse. It was meant for me to keep pushing.
In Orchard Park, Joe Biscaglia, 7 Eyewitness News.